do Styxhexenhammer. If you've ever seen any of my old videos or James at Pandira's Box's videos, he was Valentinian Gnostic. The first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of your video, just going to comment on that a little bit. What you describe as Gnosis is actually the monad and the pleroma mixed together. Gnosis is just knowledge. Gnosticism comes from Paul. There's earlier Greek stuff, the flora and all that kind of things, but no, that's actually after. But it springs from Paul, and so the Valentinians, the Basilidians, all these groups. A lot of them just get slandered by what are called the early church fathers. Marcion really wasn't a Gnostic, but because Gnostic was an insult initially. And of course, they heretic, pagan, Jew, heathen, you throw every name of the book at you. Churches still do this today. Protestants call the Catholics pagans. You know, so if you're reading their works, you think that, oh, well, those pagans are... No, well, they're not. They're just... As for the Arians were Catholics in every sense of the word. The only difference was one iota. Homoousius or homoousius. Of same substance or of like substance. And it actually was the Arians that were persecuting the hell out of what we call the Catholics. If you look at what the Vandals and the Visigoths did. And from the time of Constantine through to Julian the Apostate, it was a majority of bishops were Arians. It wasn't until Theodosius that you get the turnaround. That period is called Athanasius Contra Mundo. People should really read the early Gnostic stuff and the patristic writings, because you learn about the Gnostics through this way. But the Gnosis is knowledge. And the archons and the aeons are the most prominent in Eastern Orthodoxy. Many people believe that Valentinianism, the Alexandrian line, went from Origen to Clement of Alexandria to Athanasius. And I mean, the fundamental break between Western Latin Roman Catholicism and the various confederations of Eastern Orthodoxy actually happens in the 4th century. It's very early. It's not 1054. But you're an English scholar and you put together a bunch of works, right? But you describe Gnosis as the monad when you went into the quantum mechanics and everything, and the pleroma, which is the fullness. Not to mention, when were the Gnostics persecuted? And by who? They kind of fell out of favor, and they were never really separate. The Gnostics called themselves Christians. Whenever anybody gets a label, it's because somebody else puts that. The Arius just had this view that Christ was not of the exact same substance as the Father. Still held the Trinity, still had all that stuff. Same books of the New Testament. We even see, it's not until the Paulicians and the Albigensians and stuff like that they start getting persecuted, and that's because the Bogomils actually had a kingdom set up and were fighting the Orthodox. And in the West, the Languedoc region of France, the Cathars actually wound up expelling the Catholics. So, retaliation in kind. The vast ignorance of a lot of stuff about early Christianity. It's like when I hear people say that the Council of Nicaea had something to do with the Trinity, or books of the Bible, or affirm Jesus' deity, or nothing of the kind. It was the Arian controversy in the Data Pascha. And Nicene Creed wasn't even formed there. It wasn't until Constantinople. Peace to you. I like your videos. Just wanted to comment on that. just because I don't like people, I'm not saying it's directly against you, but misrepresenting the Gnosis and Gnosticism and the Archons and the Aeons and the Monad. And then we can get into Barbello and, Soclos and all that kind of nonsense. But that's more of the late Basilidian Apocryphon of John stuff. Peace to you.